T-boy swag. What is it, who is it, and how can we harness its power to make nuclear weapons? These are all questions that I'm sure could be running through the mind of any innocent person who clicked on this video. Let me explain. T-boy swag is the innate riz, swag, and quirk buried deep inside every transmasculine individual. Scientists are having a hard time explaining this phenomenon, whether it's their propensity towards manic mental illness or just the fact that they're all too sexy for their pants. This occurrence remains one of the many natural mysteries of the world. Today, in this video, we're about to retell one of the most notorious instances of T-boy swag in history, the story of Harry Allen. Harry Allen, also known as Harry Livingston, was an American transgender man, good bartender, splendid hotel clerk, rough rider, and crack shot, who was born somewhere in Indiana in 1882 to two probably gorgeous parents. We couldn't find any pictures of them. Robert P. Pickerel and Jenny Gordon. According to his mother, Harry indulged in masculine behaviors from early childhood, wearing overalls and going on fishing trips with his brother. However, she added the caveat that Harry's womanly tendencies have always been apparent. Miss Gordon, if by womanly tendencies you mean slutty tendencies, you would be right. Harry's family moved to Seattle in 1894, when he was around 12. For a time, they lived on a ranch where Harry wore men's clothes, herded cattle, trained horses, and broke stampedes. According to the Washington Standard, no restraint was placed upon his actions by his parents. He was allowed to do exactly how to please. He learned to shoot and apparently could shoot 3 out of 5 glass balls thrown in the air in rapid succession at a distance of 20 paces. Americans. As a teenager, Harry took to wearing tailor-made coats and trousers. He always dressed fashionably, and as we will later learn, this made him absolutely irresistible to the ladies. He didn't have any friends who were girls, but his guy friends attest that he was a good fellow and made a better-looking boy than girl. We've all been there, Harry. In 1900, the Washington Standard said that Harry had been arrested multiple times, quote, ostensibly for creating a disturbance of peace, but really for wearing the wrong clothes. Yes, Washington Standard! Call it exactly like it was. In June of 1900, a policeman shot at Harry twice, just to scare him. Apparently, he took no more notice of the bullets as if they had been paper balls. Another police officer said that if Harry had been tough, they could have locked him up. But he wasn't. He was sort of a sporty gentleman. It's clear that the cops had a hard time with Harry. In 1912, he was arrested for selling alcohol in a Native American reserve, which was, at the time, a federal crime. However, he was convicted for vagrancy and sentenced to 90 days in Portland City Jail. Throughout his stint, cops would constantly try and badger him into wearing women's clothes, but Harry stayed strong in his transgender convictions and remained in the clothing of his choice till the end of his stay. Now, all this is very cool and silly, but that's not the reason I decided to make the video today. The only reason I heard about Harry is because of what Wikipedia calls the suicides of his love interests, which is a wild thing to be remembered for, but here we are. Harry was an absolute man whore, complete and total slut. He was described as being a notorious ladies' man. What a man would have to do to gain notoriety in that field, I don't even know. There were a lot of women who fooled around with him, but out of them, a grand total of 4 have been confirmed to have committed suicide as a result. First up, we have Dolly Quap. She was, and I quote, a handsome girl, a decided blonde with regular features and large blue eyes. Okay, Harry, I see you. Quap had dated Allen for 3 weeks before her death on December 25th, 1901. I guess she really didn't have a Merry Christmas. According to the Seattle Star at that time, Quap hadn't known Harry was trans until he was arrested for suspicion of stealing an overcoat at a dance in Ballard. I have no idea where Ballard is. Following this arrest, Harry was placed into city jail where he allegedly joked about fooling Quap about his sex. After Harry was released, he got into an argument with Quap about another one of his lovers, Mabel Lack. During the argument, Quap apparently snatched Harry's watch chain to find a picture of Lack in it. Later, Harry sent Quap a letter reproaching her because he suspected that she had destroyed the picture. Damn, Harry, you can't just snap your girl? Quap received the letter at noon on the day of her death, going out to buy 10 cents worth of carbolic acid from a pharmacist. At 4 o'clock, Quap's landlady reportedly heard groans coming from the room. She immediately went in and saw Quap writhing and foaming at the mouth. She immediately called 2 doctors over, but unfortunately at 6 p.m. on that day, they had to call time of death on Dolly Quap, only the first known woman to have committed suicide over angst about Harry Allen. Up next, we had Hazel Walters, who passed sometime in March 1902. I really can't find much information about poor Hazel, probably because most newspapers reported her as being the same person as Dolly Quap. But according to the Seattle Star, Hazel flung herself off a 50-foot cliff at Madrona Park when she learned of Harry's biological sex. She left a note saying, "I love you, Harry, though you are to me a living lie." Damn, she really served sad girl Indy with that note. Finally, we have Gertie Samuels. This is all speculation, but I think that Gertie was the most committed relationship out of all the women that I've mentioned thus far. Apparently, Gertie wanted to marry Harry, but he ghosted her at the altar in January 1909, making her so distressed that she chose the peace of death over continuing to suffer in it. Despite a lot of the publications at the time backing up reports of Harry's lovers unaliving themselves, Harry himself, in the Yakima Herald, 18th March 1908, had this to say: "No woman ever committed suicide over me. I just have a name, that's all. If your chief of police should commit suicide tonight, you would blame it on me, wouldn't you now?" But notably, in the same month Gertie Samuels passed, he said to the Los Angeles Evening Post, "It is rather tragic when the girls commit suicide, but really they shouldn't do that," which is somewhat of a confirmation that girls did indeed commit suicide over him. Honestly, I wonder how much of this is true. I do believe that there was a trans man in the late 19th, early 20th century named Harry Allen. I don't believe that there was a vast amount of women who killed themselves over him. That seems pretty sensationalized and kind of unreal. I don't know to what extent any of this was fabricated by the news media to drum up drama. I don't know if Harry deserves to be remembered as the guy that ruined so many lives, or as a trans man that lived a happy and fulfilling life over 100 years ago. When talking about niche historical subjects like this, it's important to remember that real history can be incredibly tough to figure sometimes, especially since history is told from the perspective of whoever holds the most power or influence at the time, whoever has the potential to be remembered the most, in this case, the newspapers. While a lot of people are trying to create legacies for which they'll always be remembered, a large section of people are just trying to live their lives to the best extent they can. So I really have to think, in the pursuit of trying to find historical figures that are similar to us, that are relatable, that we can see ourselves in, is it just to remember people like we remember Harry Allen? Who knows, but as always, it's been a real displeasure. Hey, it's been a while since you saw my face. Haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break.